AC Church, I wanted to take a minute today and talk about security. Now, you might not really know what I'm talking about, but here's my question for you. Do you use the same email and password combination for like more than one site? Maybe you use it for something that's more secure, like maybe your bank account or your church website, and you use it for something that's a little less secure, like, I don't know, a social media account or something like that. And you've never really thought about it because you thought, well, it's my password, it's what I use for everything. Well, that actually can be kind of problematic for you. And I want to show you how to check if your email address and password combination might have been compromised. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to go to monitor.firefox.com, monitor.firefox.com. You can see the URL right up here. And you're going to enter in your email address. So I'm going to use my church email address, addison@gccws.net, and I'm going to put check for breaches. Now what this is going to tell me is it's going to tell me whether or not my email has appeared in a data breach, and then it'll tell me what has been compromised, and we'll talk about what that means in just a minute. So you can see the most recent one is Park Mobile. It's what I use to park downtown in Lancaster, right? And I'm going to hit more about this breach, and it's going to say on March 21st, Park Mobile was breached. Once the breach was discovered and verified, it was added to our database on April 30th, 2021. And it's going to tell me what was compromised: passwords, phone numbers, email addresses, additional information, including license plates and names. And then we're going to go what to do for this breach, and it's recommending you change your password and update other logins using the same passwords, and avoid sharing your phone number, and use email aliases. So it explains what each of these means, but let me just explain kind of in common sense terms. Basically what happens here is Park Mobile gets breached, and let's say that the password I use for Park Mobile is the same as the password I use for, again, we'll use the example of a credit card or a bank. What that person who bought that data can now do, because what happens is it's breached and then it's resold and all that type of stuff, is they can begin to try that email and password combination on a number of sensitive sites and potentially get into my email, potentially get into the back end of a church website or something like that. And so that's why it's important to use a bunch of different passwords. Now you might say, well, wait a minute, how am I supposed to do that? Because I can only think of one or two really secure passwords. I want to show you another really cool tool. This is called Passit.io, and this was actually developed by a friend of mine named Brendan. And what you could do on Passit.io is really cool. So I'm going to log into mine, right? And what you see here is you see a bunch of my passwords. And whenever I have a new password now, this is what I've started to do. I add a new password, and let's say I created an account on, let's use Park Mobile as an example. And then I would put whatever my username is, right? Let's say I use addison@gccws.net. And then I would put the URL for that site. And then for a password, I simply just hit this button right here, and you see it generates a password. So while I'm creating the account, I take this, I highlight it, I hit Control C, I copy it, and then I put it in as my password, and then I make sure I have my password to Passit saved on my computer, and it's a very secure password, or I have it written down somewhere even. And that allows me to have unique passwords for every site that I possibly use. And it also allows my accounts in general to be very secure, because when something like Park Mobile gets breached, I'm not affected across the board. There's a couple other tools out there that do this. This is the most manual one. If you use a Google Chrome browser, it'll actually alert you when your password's been compromised, and maybe you don't know what that means. Now you know what that means. Hopefully this helps you. This is more, this is a little less digital discipleship stuff, but I think it is really important, because again, as you start to build out digital platforms, your security is going to be an important thing. All right, happy to answer any questions you guys might have.